Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. It's Ren here. Welcome to my room. And today is going to be an interesting episode because um, my room, where by the way, a very cute little creature is sleeping. Oh yeah, you can see that other part of my room. There you go. Um, Hazelnut is with us today. It's going to be kind of an episode of random INFJ thoughts, but maybe of a slightly different savor than usual. Um, as you know, as you know, I sometimes publish episodes that are called INFJ thoughts and then a theme. So I published one on authenticity, love, and infatuation. I published another one on cynicism. Like various episodes dedicated to a particular theme that I talk about freely without necessarily feeling like I have an expert's point of view to share on it, but more just some rambling thoughts that I consider to be potentially worth sharing. There are some people in the audience who like the more stream of consciousness modes that I embrace sometimes for my videos. And so this this particular video, this one, the current one, is going to be one of the very stream of consciousness videos. Perhaps the most stream of consciousness I've done in a long time, perhaps the most ever, I'm not sure. But I'm coming into this without a real idea of what it is that I want to talk about. So that's like a real, that's a real random, it's a properly random INFJ thoughts video, but it's almost like, there was one person in the comments to a video like a long time ago. When I say a long time, I mean a few months. And that person was saying, well, you could consider like recreating this concept of Seinfeld, the Seinfeld show about nothing. It's true that in many ways it's a fascinating idea, and it's true that it'd be kind of cool to have like a little series where I occasionally, I don't know how often, like I could sort of start recording a video without a particular purpose in mind, and letting my mind and my ideation lead me along paths that were not necessarily planned to begin with. What I do know is that I kind of feel like making a video, like something that I don't necessarily talk about a lot is that it's those videos for me are therapeutic in some sense. So it feels good to be able to talk to a camera, and I guess even better to be able to talk to people and to thereby connect with people. I find that quite nice. In perhaps this is like in many ways my primary social outlet at the moment, which is not necessarily a good thing, because I've been home now for nearly 3 weeks. I think it will be 3 weeks on Friday, so at the end of this week it will be 3 weeks. So I've been here 2.5 weeks. Finished my job at the end of last month, and been back home ever since. Job is around Geneva, which is about 4 hours by train north of here. So it's not super far, but the difference in climate is quite striking. Geneva is close to the mountains, it's a bit colder, it's a bit rainier as well, whereas the Mediterranean climate is like here. Today is actually not a great day here, but it's sunny most days, which is something that I really treasure, something that I really consider important. Like, it has an impact on my life. I consider it to really be correlated with the fluctuations in my mood. So so it's been nearly 3 weeks, and I guess at the end of this month, I'll be coming to some kind of first, not assessments, but coming to terms with, what the future holds. Not necessarily that I want to start organizing my sabbatical in terms of different stages, because partly this sabbatical is about me emptying my mind of almost everything. It's like entering into this existential meditative state where I just empty my mind of as many preconceived notions, specifically regarding jobs and regarding what's expected of me, to try to attain to a vision that's clearer regarding what I want to do. It's tough to know that. It's tough to really manage to have this clarity of vision, which allows one to have a strong sense of what it is that they want to do. It seems that there are different categories of people. There are people who just seem to not overthink these things, and to have particular jobs, particular activities, and what matters to them is that they actually engage in these activities, they do the job, and they never stop to consider the job as a job. They consider it instrumentally as what they do. And I think that's probably the majority of people, and that's great if that's what makes them happy. Oh, someone is looking at the door again, so I wonder what I'm going to do. Hazelnut! Oh, she heard me. Let's see if she wants me to... last time I attempted what I'm going to attempt now, she rejected me. So I hope that I will not be rejected once again. Hi. Hey. Say hi to the audience. Come. Hey. You're purring. So why do you complain? You're gonna make me pass for someone who's like deeply unfair. It's like, I'm always so nice to you, and every time you're on camera you have to make me look like I'm not nice and you want to leave my room, even though she spends so much time in my room all the time. And she's smart. Look, she opened the door by herself. You promise you won't repeat this to anyone, but my brother's cat, she's incapable of opening doors. I don't think she's a very sharp cat. But if my brother knew I said that, he'd be very upset. Right, well, I'm not going to close the door, because I'll consider that, if she wants to come back, the door is always open. So, there are people who relate to their jobs instrumentally. They have a purpose. The job expects them to do X or Y or Z, and they do it, and they feel a sense of completion from that, and from having a purpose in life. I'm assuming that SI, users, more often than others, can attain to that. I guess for me the issue is that I really need something that's meaningful, but within reason, I guess. And the within reason really just means within a spectrum of possibilities that presents me with options that are viable financially. So what I mean by this is I can't exactly say, okay, well, what's meaningful is what I'm doing now, which is getting up in the morning early-ish, having my coffee and all this, writing in the morning, usually until 12 or half 12, getting a big sense of completion from that, meaning from that, then having lunch, then recording a video, then reading philosophy, because I read philosophy and fiction, do my various things, cultivating my mind, if you like, and continuing to try to enhance my system, my philosophical system. I could do more things, but this fills up my day quite a bit, So I was saying to my mum jokingly earlier or yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I said to her that I'm much more productive and active this month than I was last month when I was still at my job officially, going to work every morning, but at the same time, the office, the department where I was working, it was closing, as part of the restructuration that my former workplace is going through at the moment. The department where I was working actually was closing, so it's everybody had to go. And in that context, you can imagine that the more the month progressed and the more I was into my notice period, the less I had to do. So it makes sense that I didn't have that much to do. But now I'm pretty feckin' active. Don't want to swear, but the Irish have that great alternative, feckin'. So I'm pretty feckin' active. And the issue is a simple, straightforward one, being that this doesn't actually pay me anything, financially speaking, which is okay. I'm staying with my mum, and it so happens that at the moment it's okay for me to stay with my mum, and it's not an issue for her because she lives in a big house. When I say big, I mean big for her, big for a single woman. She's single. And she's not going through the easiest phase, mentally speaking, at the moment. So I think it does her good that I'm around and that I can help her with stuff. When you're not going through the best mental phase ever, sometimes it's good to have people who can help you, with even like some basic everyday stuff or admin stuff that, because you lack energy in some sense, you find it hard to do by yourself. So, and I can also, just help her with various things, and I do it. And to me, it's normal, but it just so happens that at the moment, it sort of makes sense for me to stick around a bit. I will have to leave whenever the unemployment office, where I'm going to be getting my allowance from, is going to call me for a meeting, and the allowance office or the unemployment office is near Geneva. That's where I worked, so that's where I have to go. I don't necessarily need to stay there, but I need to have that meeting, and if I go for that meeting, I'll take advantage of that and stay for a while just to catch up with friends over there. But this unemployment scheme, it can last for a while. France, and in its bilateral relations with Switzerland, France is pretty generous with its unemployment scheme. So if I really wanted to not work, I think, I have to wait. I probably will be getting news from the unemployment office with exactly how much I'm allowed to have in terms of amounts per month and for how long. But I looked online, I looked at the different rules and stipulations, and I'm pretty sure that I'll be allowed, I'm not going to give you the amounts, but let's say that it's plenty enough to live, if not even more, because it's a percentage on your gross salary of the last 13 months before being unemployed. And because I worked in Geneva, that gross salary is high by French standards. So it will be plenty to live. And I think it's for as long as you worked prior to being unemployed within a limit of 24 months. So I've been working for quite a few years, so I probably will be allowed to, to get that allowance for 24 months. I think, but for US people, that's going to sound insane, but in Switzerland, it's not 24, it's 18 months, so a year and a half, and they are a bit more monetary with checking that you really try to, you want to get a job and you apply for stuff and you accept interviews and you're not allowed to turn down more than 2 interviews or something. And I find that these rules are pretty fair enough. Like it's if the state helps you and supports you after you get fired or whatever, it makes sense that they would in turn expect you to look for a job. I'm in that weird situation where I don't really want to look for a job straight away, but I will play the game, and if I do, I will apply for things, and if I do, find a job that looks really good, I will accept it. It's not, I won't have a choice, but I think that on top of not having a choice, I actually will sort of make that choice my own. I probably will be applying for jobs that I really want to do as opposed to just any job, so that at least if I do get the job, which is possible sooner than I would like to, but we'll see. I play the game by the rules of the game. Let's make sure that it's a job I like. Hopefully a part-time job in Geneva would be nice because it will give me more time to make videos, but maybe more than anything to write and read and other things. It's a weird situation because I feel like I have this intellectual addiction. A person that I like, that I interact with on the forum, the INFJs forum, infjs.com, if you want to check it out, you should check it out. One guy whose nickname is Charlatan once spoke of having, there was a thread on, I don't know if it was a thread on addiction, but in any case, he referred to having an addiction to intellectual things. He's an ENTP himself, I believe. He keeps hesitating between INTP and ENTP. I think he's just one of those more introverted ENTP types. You know that if you're an extroverted intuitive, so an ENFP or an ENTP, you're more likely to flirt with a certain kind of introversion than if you were an extroverted judger. Because an extroverted intuitive is extroverted because he or she needs people to share ideas with, to ideate with in a way, to bounce off of one another. But the people are almost like a means towards the extroverted perception rather than the ends in themselves, as in the case of an extroverted judger. So he's not a particularly extroverted ENTP, but he seems to be an NETI type, and he spoke of these intellectual addictions, and I think that's kind of what I'm going through. I'm going through a phase in February, this month, of pure intellectual indulgence. Like outside of the videos I make, and outside of helping with household stuff here, and of course outside of when I'm talking to my girlfriends, I just indulge in these addictions. So I write a lot, but I also I'll go to like various internet encyclopedias of philosophy. There's the Stanford one, and then there's another one, the IUTM, I think, or UTM. I recommend it, the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. It's pretty good. It has a lot of entries that are worthwhile. I know that Jay, the music maker, hi Jay, asked me a question recently about how to get into philosophy, what would be a good starting point. So I'm not going to talk about it here in this video. I will keep the discussion oriented. Well, I will keep it for the INFJ Answers Your Questions video, but I do think that it's better to start with a book, an introductory book, and I have ideas to that end. It also depends on what effort you're ready to make, what time you've got. how much time could you dedicate to it every day or every 2 days, or but I'll be talking about that in the video. Maybe I'll record the video tomorrow, so you will not have to wait for too long. But these intellectual addictions are what I'm indulging in now. Now the question is that going to be something that I'll just be so into that in like a year's time I'll still be just happy to just continue doing that and being unemployed? That's not what my plan. My plan would be to go for, let's say, like a 6-month sabbatical max. I'll only extend it if I feel like I'm just not ready to go back to work, because I'm not taking the sabbatical because I just wanted to indulge in my intellectual addictions. The first reason was that I just felt I was suffering from some kind of anxiety/depression thing that was related to work, and that medication was helping, because I am still on medication, but I was not quite seeing the complete end of the tunnel. Like, there was still one extra effort that I had to make, and I felt you had to be changing my job or quitting my job to go through a sabbatical and experiencing the joy of like freedom, and the freedom not just to indulge in intellectual addictions, but also the joy to be able to redefine my goals, to retake possession of my own ability to define meaning for my life, instead of accepting that the meaning that is imposed upon my life is not mine, is imposed by the expectations of others regarding what kind of job I should have, what kind of social status I should boast as associated with that job, in keeping with the kind of intellectual endowments that would allow me to attain to certain jobs that would be seen as kind of like enviable, high profile, whatever you want to call that. I mean, I don't necessarily think that's what I want, but all my life I've been under a certain kind of pressure. At least I felt a certain kind of pressure from my parents, particularly. Now I think my parents have come around to the idea that like I need to sort of, I know best. I've been in the professional world for 5 years. I know best how to, or what I want, how to be happy with my job. And because I've been always appreciated in my different workplaces, professional, I've gotten good certificates. They know that I'm professional, I'm responsible, I know how to take care of myself. I'm at that stage now where, and also I guess they're getting a bit older and they just don't have time to even worry about that. Like, they just entrust me with it, which is natural and it's good. It still means that I have to start thinking about it at some point. I do want to spend the month of February just emptying my mind, and we'll see, maybe March as well. But I think from April onwards, which will correspond with the month that I turn 32, I will have to, I will have to start thinking of a concrete plan. So should I aim for still working in international comms for NGOs or otherwise in Geneva, but part-time? Would that work? Or should I just really aim for something else, go back to university, which would be necessary if I wanted to do psychotherapy or teaching? Am I ready to go back to university after all the years I spent there? Am I ready for doing psychotherapy? Like, even, am I emotionally ready? Because I feel like the emotions of other people so much that sometimes I feel like it will be really draining for me. And someone in the comments was mentioning that it was important to keep in mind that these things could be quite draining, and I just need to make sure I don't idealize something that that I could see as a sort of like escapist thing or a grass is greener thing. I need to make sure that not only that I really want it and that I'm ready for it, and I'm by no means certain that these two options, teaching or psychotherapy, would be the options to that end. And perhaps there are other things I haven't thought about. I do know that I would like to keep some kind of independence, to have some kind of independence, not find myself in a situation where I have to follow the commands of an idiot boss, basically. I mean, not that it always happens. I've been lucky to have some really, really great managers whom I have respected very much and whom I was happy to work for, and to be subordinate to in a way. But I don't know. There's always people that you don't really want to have to deal with, and you have to deal with them. And like, the more I can be free from those situations, the happier I will be. So I need to take that in mind, this need for independence and autonomy, this need for intellectual stimulation that is really closely connected to a sense of addiction, as Charlatan described it for himself. Maybe I could ask Charlatan. Maybe I could ask him. That's a good thing. I know him a bit after all, so I could just hit him up and say, listen, man, I'm assuming that you make a living and you have all these intellectual addictions. So how do you manage that? How do you find a compromise? And perhaps what he will say is, well, actually my job allows me to indulge in these addictions. It's part of my job. Maybe he's a researcher in like mathematics or something. Because we discuss mostly about philosophy online. We have a lot of philosophical, metaphysical debates. But he told me recently enough that his background was not in philosophy, but in maths. So I'm wondering what he does. Not that you care, but this is an improvised video. So after being abandoned by my cat, after telling you that I'm not sure where I'm headed, that I'm having intellectual addictions, what are you gonna think? So this afternoon, actually I'm kind of looking forward to this afternoon because my brother is teaching at the moment. He'll be back and he needs me to go with him to a computer shop to give him advice regarding what computers, like a computer to buy. And because he had this old computer and it was a really old computer, like some keyboards, like keys were no longer working. You had to press them really, really hard to make them work. And he was just content to have that. But he made it fall, it fell on the floor and apparently something is broken. So he's afraid about having lost some of his hard drive data, and I told him that going to see a specialist, he could maybe get the data extracted if the hard drive is intact, is not broken, and that he could get it transferred onto some other device. So we'll be looking at that, but we'll also be going to the computer shop to get him a new computer. And he wants me to go with him. Not that I'm like a computer wizard. Trust me, I am like I'm by no means a computer wizard, but I do still know a lot more about computers than he knows. I have a friend who knows a lot about computers, and I always go to him when I need advice. And I feel like I'm a prehistoric man in comparison with him. But I think my brother is a prehistoric man in comparison with me. Like, he could not care about computers. He uses them to prepare his classes, to watch TV shows. He's watching TV shows, and that's kind of like what he does. Now his computer is even too broken to perform these very simple tasks. So I have a broad idea of what a good ratio between quality and price could be, and what kind of computers you should go for. So I'm going to go with him, and I'm kind of excited. It sounds silly, but I'm kind of excited that I'm going to get to do something with my brother, first of all, that we're going to be outside the house, because truth be told, ever since I got back here, and I have friends in Marseille, and Marseille is only half an hour from here, and I don't have a car, but my mum can often give me a lend of her car, but I have not really used it to go to Marseille to see my friends. I just like being in my house alone, or just with my mum or my brother and doing my things. That I'm not actually done a lot of things outside the house for the last 18 days, which even for an introvert, that can get a little heavy. You can get a little cabin feverish after a while, and I think it's kind of happened to me, which is only normal. I mean, it makes sense that it should happen. So I'm excited about the mere idea of leaving the house to go with my brothers together, to give him advice, also to kind of be helpful to him in that shop. It's something I look forward to. It may sound sad, but it's the case. So I kind of look forward to that, but that's only at 5:30. It's now, I think here at the moment is like 1:30. So I probably should go for lunch. I'm a bit hungry now, but I'm looking forward to that. I'm also going to be just getting stuff from my mum. I look forward to talking to my little princess, my girlfriend, Paz. I know that some people have mentioned that it'd be cool if I made a video with her, and I would love to make a video with her. She actually has told me recently that she has been considering the possibility of making videos herself. I think it'd be amazing if she made videos, because she has a really, really beautiful mind, really creative, really funny. She makes really funny associations, and she has a great insight into the INFJ type as well, being INFJ herself. Although I'm not sure she would necessarily make videos on INFJ stuff. I think that maybe INFJ stuff matters a little bit more to me than it matters to her, as of, at this point in our lives. But still, she knows a lot about it, and again, she is very fun, very funny, and I very much encourage her to make videos, and hopefully we can make a video together. She's still a bit hesitant because of the of this sense of being like naked and exposed to potentially mean comments, for instance. And even when I don't get a lot of them, like when a comment is not particularly well-meaning or benevolent, when I feel like there is a malevolence in it, it can hurt a bit. And Paz is she's very sweet, and she is very sensitive. So I think she's right to take some time to reflect upon that before she embarks upon that new adventure. But I very much hope that one day we will make a video together. That would be nice. That would be really nice, because we're both INFJ, but we're quite different INFJs. So yeah, that would be nice. And I guess maybe at some point I'd like to make a video on like the kind of relationship about her, how I see her, how much I love her, the kind of relationship we have, and how it's mutually reinforcing, how it disqualifies these theories about INFJs not being good for one another romantically. But I don't know, maybe I'll ask her for her permission first. I don't want to start talking about that stuff without her knowing. But anyway, so I would like to finish this video at the age of Jesus, 33 minutes. So it means that technically I have 22 more seconds. So what to say? Well, guys, for the courageous ones that have been willing to get to the end of this video, I love you guys. See you soon. Have a lovely day, and expect to hear from me, maybe sooner than you think. Okay, guys, take care. See you soon.